want to go like episode by episode when it comes to reviews. I just like to give the general overview and then like my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. And the one thing I really did like about Russian Doll is that like the Groundhog's Day trope after a few episodes to me was getting tired. So it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't know how much longer I can watch this show. There needs to be something else. And then Alan's episode came up, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I like that he's like completely different from Nadia. I like that he's like a neat freak. He like needs things to be a certain way, and he is in love with this girl Beatrice, who is so pretty and like she was in Orange is the New Black, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I have to look at Orange is the New Black
I can't
cast.
remember what her name was on Orange is the New Black.
Her name
She
was
was the one who got pregnant
Dayanara.
with porn stash.
Not Porn Stash.
I think didn't wasn't she pregnant with? No,
No,
she
no,
was
no,
pregnant with the
no.
other guard, and I think they
Yeah,
had lied and said
it was Porn Stash.
messy,
Yeah, her name is Dasha
messy.
Polanco. She's so beautiful.
She was. I was
Yeah.
the continuous dumping
Mm-hmm.
hurt me a little bit
Yeah.
because he was like so he had like that little dorky sweet vibe going on that I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I get why she was breaking up with him, but it hurt to see it.
Yes, it did hurt to see it.
But he and Natasha's character, Nadia, Alan and
Mm-hmm.
Nadia, really reminded me of The Good Place, Eleanor and Chidi, like that
Mm-hmm.
idea of like when she talks about like morality is kind of relative. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I can see like the idea of like what makes a good and bad person like also being relative. Because I feel like with Nadia, it's easy to be like, okay, she's an unlikable character because her vices are kind of more universally seen as like bad. Like she's selfish, like you said, she smokes a lot, she drinks a lot, like she's very blunt to the point. I'm about my pleasure first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Alan was almost like put himself at the bottom of the totem pole to a point where it made everyone around him a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. He was
Like,
just like so timid, so very timid
yeah.
and quiet.
And it was like his girlfriend had explained it best, where she was like, because he was like so timid and so passive and like didn't really do things, she felt like almost like burdened by it. Like, okay, like I'm the one that's like really carrying everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really interesting, like, especially once you compared him to Nadia and you see the like reverse of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because Nadia's like vice, like her selfishness, was what Alan needed to grow, and then Alan, his selflessness was what Nadia needed. And I just, oh, I love a good foil moment like that.
Yeah. I really did like Alan. I thought he was very relatable to me as someone who like just tries to like keep everything a certain way and not
Hmm.
like, get in people's way and stuff like that. And overall, like season one was so interesting because I feel like with some shows when you're watching it, the audience kind of gets what the character needs to do before the
Hmm.
character does it. So it's kind of like, okay, well, they have to do this. It should be easy. It should be simple. But as you're watching the show lays out why it's so difficult for Nadia to see what she needs to do at the end. It's so difficult
Right.
for her to like realize that like you are holding yourself back. You're trying to break out of this loop, break out of this cycle, which of course is a metaphor for like the cycles that we fall into from the problems that we have and how we keep doing the same things over and over again and we wonder why we don't get the same results. And Nadia is in this cycle because it's her 36th birthday, and when
Hmm.
her mother turned 36, that's when she died. And now she's dealing with this grief at such not well, kind of young because 36 isn't that old,
Yeah.
but she's kind of trying to figure out her emotions around it, and she can't because she feels like she's stuck, and she's literally stuck. You know,
Yes.
I like the two characters so much, and I like how they kind of like just pair together in like opposites. and it's very. It was hard to watch Nadia like see her with her mom. Her mom played by
Oh yeah.
Chloe Savinky. That's how I say her last name.
I your guess is as good as
Chloe,
mine. I don't know why.
like Chloe Siv Sevney. Siv. I'm sorry. You know, Homegirl from American
Apologies.
Psycho. That's who I'm
Apologies to her.
talking about. Apologies to
Apologies
her.
to that.
She is a really good actress, and it was so interesting to like, not interesting, but like, it's hard to see a character go through something, and then you're like, oh, this is something I have to go through in my life. How my toes
I
curl.
The way the past 2 to 3 years media has just been like mother-daughter relationships, let's get into it.
The way
Like,
media is like, I've been through therapy, now it's time for me to take my pain and just put it into art.
hmm and I'm like, well, we're unpacking family trauma. Just
It's
how I
like,
felt. And it's one of those moments. Normally, I feel like sometimes when I watch stuff with like unlikable characters or like characters who they keep making the same mistake, normally I feel like I get frustrated and just end up bailing out. But the way they put it together and the way that you can see Nadia wanting to become better, but struggling to like actually push herself out of her comfort zone to take that step
hmm
really got me to empathize with her and like really made me stick around. And I was like, girl, I am rooting for you.
yeah,
Like, you are going to figure this time loop out. I am rooting for you.
yeah. Like, you only want people to grow, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I feel like Gossip Girl, the original show, is one of my
Oh,
favorite shows to like pull unlikable characters. Because in my
oh,
opinion, most of the people in that show are unlikable in a way.
horrendously so.
Yeah, because like they're
Like
all
Blair,
who.
but who did I stand? I was a I
I
was a Blair girly
mm,
and I couldn't stand her. Like like it,
like the way that I watched that show when I was younger. I liked Dan so much. Like I thought, oh my gosh, Dan's so relatable. He's so nice. When I'm older now, I'm like, Dan. Oh my gosh, like someone
it's
needs to talk to Penn Badgley as to why he keeps playing these nice guys. Like
oh, and he does it so
he does it so
well.
well.
Like I'd be seeing him and I'd be like, like side eyeing
It's
him, like
like, hi Penn.
which gentle sidestep. I do
Yeah.
the same thing with Chris Pine
Mm-hmm.
because I saw Princess Diaries when I was like so young. I like understood that movies weren't real, but I don't think I grasped the difference between actors and characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he did Princess Mia in that movie, every time I see Chris Pine in a movie, I'm like, don't trust him. He gonna backstab you, girl.
Mm.
Every time.
Chris Pine is so attractive. Like the way that
He
he should
did
be
you
a
so
rom
well.
com darling.
I The way I would go to war to see Chris Pine just dominate the rom-com industry.
I need to know why it was Ryan Gosling.
Go to church.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
You're
Um,
good.
I need to know why it was Ryan Gosling that y'all wanted to give it to as attractive, but not Chris Pine.
I had the same thought about Matthew McConaughey. I,
Listen,
I
this
hate
man,
to say it.
but
I
you should
hate
say
to
it. But you should say it. Why is it that the guy who looks like
And
if
I
he had
will
a
say it
Tinder
in a
profile,
whisper.
he would be holding like two
A
fishes
fish?
and be on his horse, being like, you know how to ride as
Because
like a
you know
caption?
what? That is his vibe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I were to be in Texas going for like a drive and I looked over and he was in a field on a horse, cowboy hat on, looking over yonder, no surprise,
Mm-hmm.
no shock in my heart. Of
Mm-hmm.
course.
You know he wanted to run for governor of Texas, I believe.
I feel like I need celebrities to stop that.
Stop getting involved Listen, you can donate money, but if you start putting your money together for a political campaign, that's not. I'm sorry, that's not a viable
We
option.
can campaign for Oscars. We
Yes.
can campaign for Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will give you at most city council member. But
But
anything else, please leave it where it lay.
mm, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay.
I'm okay.
Like, Dwayne, you seem like a nice guy, but you're also friends. I don't.
I don't know if I want to know that much about what you think about politics.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just stick to
I
the
like
action
the
movies.
illusion of you that exists in my head.
When you did that movie where you fought Godzilla and a furry lizard, I thought that was actually quite a masterpiece, and I feel like you should make more of those. I feel like
Yes.
you should make more of those.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. He has a show called Young Rock and ABC.
I haven't watched it.
I don't think I'm going to watch it. I know that that show is literally only set up to set him up to make him more relatable to people and thus move him into his political career.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said oh
He's
no like
never
that.
shied away from running for office. Like, he's never shied away from it. For some reason, we can't host the Oscars, but running a country, sure. Let's start small. Okay. If you want to be governor of California, I think that would be okay.
I'm not even really sure about that one. I'm not really sure about that
Mm,
one either.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
At the city council member at best, and I will stand 10 toes down on it.
Yeah, because, like, this is a little tangent, but I don't need rich people making the laws for everyday people. Because rich people don't understand what we go through. Like, Jay Z
No.
joining that Twitter space with DJ Khaled, where he said that being called a capitalist is the same thing as being called the N word. And it's not. Because I can acknowledge Jay Z and his activism with, like, making the Khalif Browder documentary, which needed to be
Mm-hmm.
made because Khalif's story needs to be told, and other ways that he has donated and like given back to people. But I also can acknowledge the fact that like Jay Z has been someone who will tout himself as a revolutionary in a way, and yet you buy apartments and you buy real estate and you raise up the rates to amplify gentrification. You don't make it more accessible to more people. Like, the second the NFL did like a half-ass apology to Colin Kaepernick, suddenly you're an investor in the NFL, even though like a year or two ago you're telling the NFL to like kiss your ass on your album. Like, be for
Yeah,
real.
I got a lot of thoughts about that, and mostly it's just like sometimes you just gotta acknowledge there's a disconnect,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like not enough. It's something you just gotta acknowledge there's a disconnect,
Yeah.
and I feel like sometimes celebrities just gotta acknowledge the fact that
You're not relatable. Like,
no, you're not relatable.
the money that you spend on your clothes, if I had that money, that would change my life. To you, it's pocket change. That's a big
Yeah,
difference between two of us.
sometimes when celebrities try to get relatable, it feels it just there's always something a little like it's like when you hear them say like oh we all have the same 24 hours. It's like do we?
Do we? We all have the same 24 hours, but you don't have the same money. We all have the same 24 hours, but you have staff. You know what I mean?
Right, like
We all
is
have
it
the
the
same
same
24
24
hours,
hours
but
when you have a driver and I have to
you
commute
have set up
myself?
money in your life that you still get paid off of residuals, off of
Right.
investments, off of Bitcoin or wherever it is you invest your money in. Me, I have to work for the majority of my 24 hours and also sleep. I have 7 hours of free time. And half of that, and I spend 1 hour in traffic.
And
So,
that's 7 hours like no kids. Like
hmm,
like
also that.
if you come home, you have kids, okay, now you gotta feed them, you gotta bathe them, you gotta make sure they're getting homework. Like some like I saw this one tweet that was like, don't take advice from people who their parents have a Wikipedia page or like they have like sometimes you just can't take